It's truly a pleasure to be here with you. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to get to meet all of you in this short visit thus far. I want to thank Jim Opp, Vice President of the Illinois PGA, and all of the members of the PGA, Illinois PGA section, for having us here and hosting this event. It's really a treat to spend some time with you, and I'm looking forward to doing more of that as we get through the rest of this week. And I know many of you very well. I met some of you for the very first time down at the PGA Merchandise Show in Orlando. And I've truly enjoyed the phone calls over the last couple of months as I've gotten to get to know you better and identify how your sections work and how the PGA of America can better serve you in meeting the needs of your members and in growing the game. You may or may not know, but I'm from the Northeast, and I'm used to short seasons up there. But one thing is for certain, that you are not short in this area on passion for the game of golf and for traditions. I've done a little research, and one thing that I was struck by was the first PGA annual meeting was held in Minneapolis at the Radisson. An exciting time back then. And of course, you've had great PGA leaders come up through the ranks. Horton Smith, and industry greats like Herb Graffis. And of course, you've got some of the best golf courses in the world. Chicago Golf Club, arguably one of the oldest 18-hole golf clubs in the country. Medina, host of many major championships in the recent Ryder Cup. Hazeltine, Whistling Straits. The main objectives back in 1916 were just as they are today. Our mission was to grow the game, to teach, and to protect the well-being and livelihood of our PGA members. Almost 100 years later, that really hasn't changed. And your sections have really served as the role models and the leaders across our country, and people look up to you for the great things that you're doing. My background in golf is probably not too much unlike many of you in this room. I started playing the game with my dad. And I quickly fell in love with golf and the sights, the sounds, and the smells that came along with it. I worked hard to improve, and under the watchful eye of my father and my PGA members, my mentors, my passion for the game and eventually my passion for the business grew and grew and grew. Golf reinforced the strong values that were instilled in me by my parents: honesty, integrity, hard work, perseverance, patience. And I was taught that I could do anything I wanted to in life as long as I had the passion for it, as long as I gave it 100% and worked hard to fulfill my dreams. I learned that there are no shortcuts in golf and no shortcuts in life. And I loved a lot of sports growing up as a kid. I ran track in high school. I wrestled. And in college, I was actually a member of the state championship 4x400 meter team. That was before knee surgery. But one thing I knew for certain was golf was my sport. I knew I would always be in the game. And it wasn't long that I learned that I would be in the business of golf as well. As a matter of fact, when I got back from my junior year abroad in Edinburgh, Scotland, I quickly registered for the PGA Apprentice program. And I passed the PAT, and I was on my way. My first big break was getting a job with Marriott Golf at a wonderful club in southern Maine called Sable Oaks. And I was fortunate to get winter work that winter at the Marriott World Center in Orlando, Florida. And that's where I met my wife, Tracy. We've been married now for 20 years. We've got 4 beautiful kids. I also met Tony Austin, who's here in the room with me today, a great mentor of mine. Thanks for being here, Tony. I really appreciate you. Tony and I served on the North Florida PGA board together, and he's taught me a lot about what it is to be a great leader. My first experience as a head golf professional was at the age of 25. I was a head golf professional at Ipswich Country Club in Massachusetts. And as you might expect, my Jacksonville bride did not fare well with the New England Winners. And just a couple of years later, we returned to Jacksonville, where she grew up, and I gave playing a try. I actually played on the Tommy Armour Tour for a couple of years, but I quickly realized that I was not going to make a living at playing golf. But I had my Class A membership, and I was very fortunate to land a great job at Sawgrass Country Club. And it was there that I spent a good amount of my time teaching and learning how to be a better teacher. But I also worked hard to move up the ranks, and I eventually became the head golf professional there in 1997. In 2000, I worked at another wonderful club in Jacksonville with a strong tradition and history, Deerwood Country Club. And in 2003, Tracy and I purchased Hidden Hills Country Club. And we've been there ever since. It's been 11 years now. And I'm really proud of the strides that we've made. We bought Hidden Hills from Bank of America. It was in receivership, financial problems. And I'm proud to say that with leadership and a vision and pulling people together and building a strong team, we're a thriving family country club. And I am really proud of that accomplishment. I've got 17 years of continuous leadership in the PGA. Starting with my chapter, I rolled up through the chairs and became president. I was president of the North Florida section, and I served on many national committees. And I was selected by President Brian Whitcomb in 2006 to serve on the prestigious PGA Board of Control. And on that Board of Control, I worked with some of the best PGA professionals in the country. A couple of them from right here in this part of the country. John Lindert, Paul Reinking. And I also worked up close and personally with each and every one of our current officers. Over the 4 years, I'd like to welcome the Board of Control too. Jack, Paul, Trey, thanks for being here with us. During my 4 years on the Board of Control, I ruled and reviewed on over 1,400 cases. 1,400 cases on behalf of our members and our apprentices. And we didn't always agree. We didn't always agree on the course of action that we should take, but we put a lot of time. And I will assure you this, I always strive to be the most prepared person in the room. And with Jack Gale, that's hard to do. But we didn't always agree. But I'll tell you one thing, we never lost focus on what was most important, and that was protecting our association, protecting our Constitution and our bylaws. And at every turn, we tried to err on the side of our PGA members. My Board of Control experience provided me with an inside view, an in-depth view of our association. I got heavily involved with membership, employment, education, PGM programs, and also legal counsel. I really got a good understanding of how our association works and how it works on behalf of our members. It had a lasting and profound effect on me, and really was the driving factor for me to embark on this next journey to become your PGA secretary. My many years of service have provided me with a lot of clarity for the future direction of our association, but I think it's really important to mention this, that most all of us, I would hazard to say all of us, got in this game because we love it. We love the game. And one thing is for certain, the game is just as beautiful, it's just as strong as it's always been. The business of golf, however, needs some help. And we must work harder than ever to set the stage for long-term success. And I'm the person that can help us get there. As your next secretary, I will work hard to implement innovative, forward-thinking ideas that are sound and they're tempered with a strong business-minded approach. And my mission will be focused on the 4 key elements of my platform: growth, opportunity, leadership, and our future. You know, one thing, and I'm sure I'm not unlike most of you here, one thing that was instilled in me when I was a kid was that I had to work hard. I had to work hard to get better and better every day to be the best that I could be. And for our PGA members to uphold the moniker of being experts in the game, in the business of golf, we better make sure that we inspire them to seek knowledge, skills, training, to become, as Secretary Levy quipped, the MVP at their facilities. They need to become revenue producers. And for those that grow revenue at their businesses, they provide value to their employers. And they not only develop the future of our sport, but they provide value, they solidify their own job security, and they become responsible for their own career advancement and their own compensation. Growing the game is plain and simply, it's vital for our future success. I believe we are at a crossroads right now in our industry. In the last 10 years, we've seen a steady decline in the number of golfers. 5 million golfers we've lost since 2003. Tens of millions of rounds of golf decline from our peak years. And we've seen golf course closures outpace openings now for 10 straight years. And yet, while the experts, the golf pundits, and even some in our own ranks say that we'll never relive our glory years, I respectfully disagree. I disagree. I'm confident that we can once again enjoy a vibrant golf economy. But I would say this, it can't come from just the people in this room. It can't come from our officers. It can't come from our really smart people down in Port St. Lucie. It can't come from another PSA that's aired over the PGA Championship. And it can't come from another wonderful program that's driven down to us from headquarters. The seeds of growth, they must be planted locally. They must be nurtured by our talented, inspired, rank-and-file PGA golf professionals, 28,000 strong. And you know what? We're starting to see some success stories. Get Golf Ready. 85,000 participants last year, up 11%. 60% of Get Golf Ready participants were women, and 59% of the students said that they would introduce that program to another person. PGA Junior Golf League, 9,000 participants last year, 740 teams. We're budgeted for 15,000 this year. I bet you we get to 20,000. This is a tremendous program, and it's getting hands in the clubs of our kids, clubs in the hands of our kids, and it's really giving them that next step opportunity to enjoy the game. In addition, Drive, Chip, and Putt program is going to be in all 41 sections this year. 88 kids are going to be at Augusta National this Sunday before the Masters. How exciting is that? In many cases, this is the peak golfing experience of these kids' lives. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. And of course, Tee It Forward. Tee It Forward has made the game fun and enjoyable for millions of golfers. And we need to continue to wave that banner. But you know what? As President Bishop said yesterday, we can't stop there. We need to explore. And we've got a task force now to help us do that. But we all collaboratively, cumulatively need to do the same. We need to search and seek out ideas for non-traditional golf opportunities, alternatives, and we need to direct those to people who say golf is too hard, it's too expensive, it's uninviting, it takes too long, and it's just plain boring. As a matter of fact, 57% in a recent survey of adults 18 years and older, 57% said golf is boring. We need to work. We need to get hard. We need to introduce golf activities like 9 is fine, foot golf, top golf, social golf, recreational golf that incorporates it's okay rules. We need to make sure that we preach, and we need to preach loudly that it's okay to play 3 holes, 6 holes, 9 holes, 12 holes. And we need to let people know that hitting golf balls, if you hit golf balls on the range once in a while, you're still a golfer. Finally, we must get into schools. We must work closely with the First Tee. I'm on the First Tee board in Jacksonville, and I applaud them for their efforts. And we need to work closely with them. They're a partner of ours. We're a founding supporter of theirs. But there are a lot of schools, And there's a lot of opportunities for us to drive golf into elementary schools and middle schools. And there's plenty of success stories out there. The Midwest, Iowa, Colorado, Missouri, they are doing great things, and they're moving the needle, and they're providing a great template for the rest of our sections across the country to have success, get golf clubs in the hands of our kids at an earlier age, and you know what happens along the way? We start to bring the families into the game as well. You know, just as we need to grow the game, we need to grow opportunities for our PGA members, and we need to grow our PGA members. We need to expand their horizons, enhance their skills, and teach them to drive revenue and value to their facilities. It's incumbent upon us to do this. I said I believe we're at a crossroads. We have got to inspire them. The time is now to get them motivated and to find their true potential and really empower them to make a difference. And as your next secretary, it'll be my mission to continue the nurturing of the relationships on the section level with our section leaders and our executive directors. You know, there's a lot of change on our section boards. Leaders come and go. The one common thread is our executive director. And in most cases, that individual is the most talented, the most insightful, and that person knows more about the operations of that particular section, the obstacles, the opportunities. And we need to make sure that their voice is heard as well. And I'm pleased with the success that we've had recently with the ED monthly conference calls. And I know that we had a great conference, ED conference, down at the merchandise show. We need to continue to embrace our EDs and get their feedback. We need to empower all of our PGA members to reach their full potential by offering meaningful, career-specific, and affordable education opportunities. Affordable. And it has to align with their career interests. On our local level in Jacksonville, I'm the education chairman. And we've had great success. And the reason we've had great success is we've made our education opportunities an event. And we've cultivated programming that pertains to their needs, to their interest. And it's a home run. We need to share best practices. There's a lot of talented people out there, and we need to know what they're doing and share it with our 28,000 strong. We need to offer career enhancement opportunities for our members. We need to help them with employment. We need to help them with their resumes. We need to help them with interview skills and finding jobs. And I believe we need to reinstitute the President's Council that rewards our best PGA members who truly are passionate about and having success with growing the game of golf. And finally, we need to celebrate. We need to do a better job of this. We've started to move the needle there, but we need to celebrate our best and brightest. A lot of people you recognize up there from this neck of the woods. By focusing on these areas, we'll directly, positively impact our members, enhance their success, their marketability, and also employment opportunities for them. You know, lastly, leadership. One of the signs of a great leader is that he's a good listener. We need to ask our members a lot of questions, and we need to hear their voice. And I can tell you this, and I think you got a feeling of this last night, I'm a good listener. I will ask our members what they need to be better in their jobs and happier in their lives. In doing this, we'll be able to map out our long-term strategic plans, create buy-in, and really create a unified front where we strive to get all 28,000 of our members involved. We need to utilize cutting-edge technology to deliver information, but also solicit feedback. We need to have an annual membership survey. We've got a compensation survey. We've got an operations survey. We need to get feedback from our members, and we need to get it every year. We need to identify what their needs are, and that really helps us to identify how we can better serve them. It's not unlike what we do at our clubs. It's not unlike what we do in our sections. PGA Links is a great tool for us, and we are retooling it now. 98% of our members and apprentices have an email and a link to PGA Links. It's a great conduit for us to communicate with them and also get feedback. And I'm a firm believer that face-to-face interaction is vitally important to our association. Meetings like this, where we congregate and we gather and we learn and we grow. I'm a big believer in section meetings, town hall meetings, and open forums. And my commitment to you as your next secretary, vice president, and president will be that I will visit each and every one of your 41 sections at least once during my 8 years as officer. A couple of weeks ago, I invited Steve Mona. He's the chief executive officer of the World Golf Foundation. I invited him to a chapter meeting in Jacksonville. And he gave us a really stirring update on the state of the industry. And not unlike what we've been talking about here the last day, he focused on some of the obstacles, some of the hindrances that we're experiencing in the industry. And he also talked about opportunities for growth. You know, one thing that struck me is the number of fans and the number of spectators in golf is at an all-time high. There are more people watching golf, going to golf tournaments than ever before. To me, that's pretty encouraging. There are a lot of people out there that are interested in our sport. But he also said, we are all in this together. You know, we're a nearly $70 billion industry. Our allied associations, our clubs, our owners, operators, and everybody that's involved in our industry must work together, must come together to solve some of the problems and move towards the future. And I'm the type of person that can bring those entities to the table. I've been doing it for a long time. And I will work on your behalf to identify what our members need, what our facility owners want. That's important. And finally, what our consumers demand. We need to be the best at meeting the desires of the marketplace and once again drive the business of golf. We need to cultivate partnerships, and we need to use the strength of our brand to forge new alliances. And as your officer, I will strive to inspire our PGA members to make a difference, to grow the game and be the best that they can be, to move the needle for the good of the game and for their own good. I am ready, I'm willing, and I am able to be your next PGA secretary. And I'm ready to roll up my sleeves. I'm ready to use my proven leadership skills, my business-minded approach to lead us into the future. And I'm ready to do it now. I appreciate you listening. I look forward to spending more time with you this week. I look forward to earning your trust and your vote in November. Thanks very much. I guess we've got about 20 minutes or so for questions, Bob. So please feel free. I'd love to answer some of your questions today.
Russ J. Kennedy, Midwest Section President.
Jay.
I've been to quite a few meetings over the last number of years as I've gone through the office, but we're sitting around talking at the table and talking about motivation, talking about trying to inspire. And my question to you is, why is golf not included in any of these meetings? Why aren't we playing golf versus sitting in a room with sport coats and ties? If you were in the lobby of the Hilton here, would you even know that we're golf professionals? So my question to you is, if we're going to change this game, we need to start including golf back into these types of functions. So just food for thought, but you know, why do you think golf is not included in any of these functions?
Well, Jay, I can tell you that when I walked outside this morning, I didn't want to play golf today. So. But I get your point. I truly do. And you know what? When our association was founded back in 1916, up until that point, the USGA was sort of the clearinghouse for PGA professionals and golf course superintendents. So they felt they needed to get off onto their own. But a big part of the reason for the association's formation was to provide playing opportunities. And so that was almost 100 years ago that we invoked that particular mission. And I think that certainly we have all gotten a lot busier at our clubs, at our sections. We're doing a lot more with less. And I think that we've probably taken our eye off the ball a little bit. You know, some of the things we're doing on our local level in North Florida is when we tie in some of our educational forums and mentoring opportunities, we actually create playing opportunities afterwards with, in some cases, we created a pro assistant event after the meeting. And what it did is it allowed the head golf professional to bring his assistant to the meeting, which is another challenge that we have, and get out there and play afterwards. So I hear you loud and clear. You know, we all got into this industry because we love the game, plain and simply. We love the game of golf. And, you know, even our members come up to us and say, boy, you know, Ron, you just don't play as much as you used to. What's going on? And, you know, we can go through the whole litany of reasons why. But when we gather, you know, I think we need to allot some time for that. And I'll tell you what, Jim Remy said this a few years back. He played more golf as an officer because he got out, he connected with the sections across the country. And I hope to do that same thing. Great question. Thank you.
Peter Curvers, president of the Minnesota section. I guess I'm just seeking comment in talking to you yesterday and hearing today. You're talking about reaching out and connecting to the members. The comment here is about the mental health of the members, so to speak. The PGA does a lot of things to train us in that, but I think there's avenue there for balance, life balance, maybe chemical dependency support group, things of that nature, where we're going to make the lives of the PGA members, I guess the terminology again is going back to being balanced. Do you think there's room for that in our association to make us stronger?
Well, absolutely. I think we're doing it now. We may not have a formal program on it, but I believe that we are a very fraternal group. We take care of each other. We have each other's back. There's no doubt about it. And there's a lot of stress out there these days, and there has been for a long time. You know, we've been talking about Groundhog Day, if you like that movie. It's one of my favorites. We've been talking about a lot of the same things for a long time, and we've been beaten down, and we've seen declines, and a lot of people are stressed. You know, a lot of people are in jobs right now that they're not really happy about, and that certainly leads to things like depression, chemical dependency, you know, those types of things that go hand in hand. So I think it starts at the local level, and I think we have a very close-knit group of people, and we need to identify, provide opportunities. You know, that's another opportunity for mentoring. Could even be an education opportunity, you know, to bring people and just maybe enlighten them a little bit on some of the things that are out there. You know, there might be a little stigma attached to that. It might be hard to get people to come. But, you know, that's the basis for our association. We always tend to lend a helping hand where we can. That question's never been asked to me before, so I hope I answered it well, but it was a good one. And it's a caring type question. And I think as you get to know me more this week, not that the other candidates aren't caring, but I truly care about each and every one of you in this room. And I think that's gotten me a long ways in this business and in this industry. We've got to make sure we make people feel welcome and make sure that they feel like we care about them. And in doing so, we're going to have that more unified front, no doubt about it. Thank you.
Russ, hi. Benjamin Kent from the Gateway section. We've talked a lot about growth, and growth requires engagement. Engagement requires time, and time requires sacrifice. Specifically, how can you communicate to our members that that sacrifice is going to be worth it?
And when you're referring to sacrifice, tell me what your focus is there.
With all the biggest pressure I think that a lot of PGA professionals have is time. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to ask people to participate in more growth of the game activities, to spend more time away from their families, more time away from things, you know, away from the club, how can you convince them that that is a worthwhile sacrifice?
I certainly feel that in life we always have to strive to maintain a balance. There's no doubt about that. Family's important, faith is important, our job is important, and just time by ourselves to decompress is important. You know, I said earlier, I believe we are at a crossroads. So I think one of the most convincing arguments for that is that, one, it's going to drive revenue to you. It's going to demonstrate that you are a revenue producer at your facility and that you drive value and growth. And so ultimately, it's an employment matter. It's about protecting your turf, so to speak. It's about protecting your employment and maybe even projecting yourself as somebody that's up and coming and that can move to that next step within your own organization or outside. So I believe it's a tool that most all of us have. We're good teachers, but if we don't grow the game, I mean, who's going to? We've got to. That's our charge. We have got to grow the game, and the time is now. We've got to do it. It's a delicate matter. You know, I think that you need to have a level approach as you present this. It's not going to do any good for Russ Libby, as Secretary of the PGA or President of the PGA, to talk down and say that you need to get out. But what we do need to do is to demonstrate the benefits of that, and I think I illustrated that to you. And I think it needs to be more on a local level in the chapters and the sections with our local leaders. And I'm happy to come to the meetings and sit in and do what I can to help inspire and motivate. But it's all about inspiring our members to reach their full potential. I'm still aspiring to reach my full potential. I think everybody in this room, that you're all here for a reason, because you're striving for excellence. And I think it's a lot of creating that passion and untapping it and allowing people really to thrive. Balance is important, though. No doubt, Benjamin. Thanks.
Keith Clark, Indiana section. A global thought, what are your thoughts and opinions of the idea of the PGA Championship going overseas, China, and some of the talk that we've heard of?
It's a great question. You know, I've talked about this a little bit. And when I first heard it, and I don't know if any of you feel the same way, I became a little territorial. What? The PGA of America Championship, the PGA Championship, going outside our borders, just didn't seem to jive well in my brain. I understand that we need to be global. But the thing that I'm worried most about is when these events are hosted in our local cities, sections, the economic impact is tremendous. The economic impact of the event at Kiawah, it drove $95 million to golf courses, hotels, and restaurants. $95 million. And the overall multiplier effect was $195 million. That's a lot of revenue going to our local economies, our local communities. And from a philanthropic side, I was up at Oak Hill last year, and what a beautiful thing to see President Bishop, the PGA wives, and the PGA Tour wives working together to build a home, Habitat for Humanity, for a family that needed it. You know, that was a beautiful story. And I'm afraid that some of those things are going to be lost if we move our tournament outside the United States. So at first blush, I really feel like we need to keep it here. And I'm sure there are some people that are very, very intelligent that can provide arguments otherwise. I will say this as a possible solution. The Ryder Cup, which we own, is played internationally here and over in Europe. It already has a track record for being more of a global event. Would it not be a good idea to look at maybe a neutral territory, China, South America, where we could host that event down the road and run a global event like that? Maybe that's an opportunity. Thanks for the question, Keith. Any other questions? Again, I want to thank you very much. I've really enjoyed the time with you. I felt like I got to know you a little bit better last night. And when we meet with the districts this afternoon, I really challenge you to throw all the questions at me. Why you think I'm the right person for the job, why I think I'm the right person for the job. And like I said earlier, I'm looking forward to your support, and I'm looking forward to being your next secretary. Thank you.